have coming up with the 90-day year live? So just, I'm going, but I have no idea what to
Well,
even expect.
you have to go because you're one of my key other experts that's going to be there. So
even I was going even before that. So
Yeah.
like, what's in store for me?
people buy the online course and they think that that's sort of, now that I've talked to a lot of people, that they think that's the kind of end point, like, oh, I've got it now. And
100%.
and really, and some of it's kind of, I think, in the positioning of it, like calling the live event as a bonus, and people not realizing that what I'm really giving you, I mean, the 90-year live event sits alone as its own product, like it's its own thing.
People
And
can just buy tickets to it, right?
yeah, people can
Even
buy.
if they're not in the course.
Yeah, it's just that I'm bundling it in and I'm giving it to people with like, just a small deposit just to hold their spot, right? Because unlike other people, we spend a lot of money producing the event and putting it together.
I see
And
now.
of course, a lot of time, which might question what I do going forward. But the whole point of it though is because I'm a face-to-face person, and when I take a look at any of the kind of pivotal moments for me that made a big difference in, growth as a professional, like trying to grow my skills, or growth from a business perspective where, opportunities and sometimes just the luck of who you meet, who you sit next to, was all based on going to, whether it was a big event like this or whether it was going to just local events.
Yeah.
And every time there's just, when you approach it the right way, you get doors open for you. And so, I think with some people is they're, by not coming, they're missing out on just getting, I'm going to be running back through the 90 year. No one's an expert at this yet. And I'm literally selling, this is the funny thing is, I'm selling the unsexy thing, right?
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah.
And yet, it's the one thing that most people need to learn how to do better. Not necessarily work more, but work in a better way. And so what that also does is it ends up bringing in a quality of people that aren't at other events. Because the people that are coming like dedicated to being better at what they do, not trying to find the quickest, easiest new opportunity, shiny object hack to try to make their marketing more slick or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So they're going to get another good, solid crash course through the 90-day year, because not everyone has consumed everything, in the program anyway. So beyond that though,
and you were showing me some of the stuff that you don't even teach in the course that
Yeah.
you're going to be going through, and like,
yeah,
that kind of blew my mind. And you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be on the beginning of day one, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it's worth it just for that.
yeah. Well, see, but this is my thing is like I don't want to oversell people. Like, not that I oversell, but that's just my way.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I
know.
like people showing up and going, holy shit.
Yeah.
Why didn't Todd, if Todd would have told me then those other two people that said that they aren't going to make it, I know they would have come. And to me, it's like, what more, it's obvious that you should go to events because, there's two things that scale any entrepreneur quickly. It's relationships.
Yep.
Easily, that's it. Relationships right there, and luck.
Yeah.
And so how do you find luck? Well, you got to show up.
Yeah.
Luck doesn't just come while you're sitting behind your computer screen tapping away at home. And this is the other thing, especially for entrepreneurs, is like, most entrepreneurs are in, they isolate themselves, and that's what these events are for, is to also help people pull themselves out of the environment that they're in and get around a group of people who are going through a lot of times the similar things to them. But then get around new ideas to cause them to think better. And when you're exposed to new ideas outside of your environment, the container with which you'll accept the idea is just different,
Yeah.
right? Because you're not shackled to just what's typically around you. And all of us are exposed to a million ideas a day, like new ideas. People scroll through their news feeds, or they're reading a blog, or they're reading magazines, whatever. But why aren't they applying it? Because the environment just keeps them the same many times. So yeah, relationships and luck, you got to experience it. You got to, like I said before, the events that I've gone to, and I take a look at just like rapid growth.
Yeah, well,
because of that.
One of the funny things that the first night that we met, you told me the story of how you met a mentor who changed your life, Jim Rohn,
Yeah.
the legendary Jim Rohn,
Yeah.
who also undersold and in terms of, there's
Yeah.
never any hype or anything
Yeah.
like that. But
Big time.
where did you meet him?
It was an event. I said yes to go. I said yes to going with my uncle to get an award at an event. He was getting Construction Person of the Year award in Canada, and sat next to Jim Rohn. And
For
talk
people who
ab-
don't know who Jim Rohn is, which
know,
hopefully
Forbes-
every person who
yeah, Forbes named him one of the top 3 most important and influential business philosophers of the 20th century, right? And me just starting out, I was 22, almost 23 at the time. I'd literally just sit next to the guy who can grease every freaking slide that there is for me in the business that I wanted to go into. And he did, but only after I accepted a little challenge from him, which really wasn't a challenge. He just said, hey, go do these 3 things, because we ended up chatting. And I had no idea who the guy was.
Yeah,
but I saw him speak after, sat next to him, talked to him during dinner, didn't know who he was, gets up, gives 52 minutes of the
he's
greatest.
the keynote, right? Like
He's the keynote speaker, yeah.
He was Tony Robbins' mentor.
He was Tony Robbins' mentor too. And amongst, there's a lot of us behind the scenes that he helped. But again, you get that at a live event. Like when you just take a look at human beings anyway, like what builds trust faster? That's why you and I get together and do some work together.
100%.
Face to face. We don't do it, it's easy. And like in New York City, it's easy for a lot of people to use excuses like, I don't want to get into an Uber, or I don't want to get into a taxi to move around in this flipping traffic.
Yeah.
But we do it anyway because we just get better stuff done. And the same thing will happen at the live event. And the other thing too that people don't realize, because I'm not trotting out names, but I'm literally bringing in my private Rolodex of people who are just highly skilled at their specific discipline.
Yeah.
And I'm really good at finding the real people, not the marketed people,
I know.
the real people, like you. Like you're the hidden gem of publicity and PR stuff. And so you're gonna come in and do a round table on that. And then I've got people coming in to talk about traffic and scaling. I got people to come in and talk about copywriting and messaging, and because that's a big struggle for many people that are starting out is, they have good stuff, but they don't have a very good way of saying it.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that's a good lesson from just the 90-day year program, the name itself is what makes it win a lot of times. Remove Todd from the equation.
Right.
It's a good name. Now, it took me a long time as a business person to get to the point of knowing how to name things properly, right? Or building a brand around something. But so like people like that, I have literally the best tax advisor, wealth guy. Now, people just tuned out right there when I said tax, because they're like,
yeah.
I don't need that. But we all bring in money and revenue into our businesses, and it's great to find out all of the really smart ways of keeping it and not giving it to someone else.
So, and one of the cool things is it's not like even just that you have people coming in to talk. You're doing like breakout. Like
No, it's breakout.
It's like sit down, get like thousands of
Intimate.
dollars of consulting or
Yeah.
coaching and relationships, and like that's I think one of the things, like you cannot do that. You can't.
Yeah.
And like people, like I pay attention to that stuff. Like people I meet like have an automatic like new advantage because they can directly contact.
Well, here's the
I
thing.
shouldn't say that.
So where did I get? So this is a funny behind that. So yeah, it's not going to be people standing on stages doing a structured keynote presentation and all that kind of stuff. What it is it's an intimate environment where people get to sit down with the person. They're going to maybe have a whiteboard there and talk about a key concept, but then really just open up the floor to allow people to just have a real one-on-one, real conversation with them about what position they're in right now, so they can get help on something. But I got that idea from a good friend of mine who runs an extraordinarily expensive, very curated event that I go to and spend money going to it, and I was like, oh, I really like that. I think I can make that work at a larger event, because everyone said you can't do it at a larger event, and I know that we've done it because I brought in an expert who's from Atlanta, Georgia, who knows exactly how to do those things. Yeah. My point is that I went to a live event, saw that, and said that will make my live event even better. And the people are going to come to this one and do the exact same thing for their own business. So it's one thing to go there for, because people literally just look at most people when they're looking at an event, they make the mistake of just looking at the structure. They don't take a look at the glue that kind of keeps those bonds together and makes it work, right? That's the breaks that happen in between, where you get to have and meet people that are, similar to you, or open up a door for you. Or they don't take a look at, again, like just lifting off of that, just the relationships that you get to connect with, who sits next to you, because no one's sitting next to you at your computer at home. So,
and the thing I think about more and more, and why events, and especially just these kind of events where you're bringing together, it's something that technology cannot replace. I don't care about Skype, Zoom, Facebook, like how good these things are. Nothing is the same as even 30 minutes sitting next to somebody talking real, like, and just like, that's how, I mean, you and I, like, why we're sitting here, because we were sitting next to, like, we could have emailed back and forth or, you know, known of each other, whatever, forever, and we wouldn't be sitting here. We wouldn't be doing stuff. Like, we sat next to each other at dinner.
I've got a relationship with a guy right now who, for 2.5 years, we went back and forth every now and then on Facebook Messenger. We met finally at a live event. He's become one of my really good friends in just 14, 15 months. And I was like, wow, for 2 years, I really didn't know who this person was. Got to feel the energy from the person. I'm like, you're right up my alley. And he's a speaker at the event. Right. Because he's the guy behind the people who blow up in kind of the, not personal development, but just like personal branding space. He's the guy who's like been behind the scenes scaling them all online. But that only happened when we actually met, not because of Facebook and all that stuff.
Yeah. So another thing that surprised me this isn't the first time you've done this, but that there are those people who've been there who keep coming back, and it's like,
it's family. It's family.
Right. They're like, I pencil like these weeks off, and then when I find out the exact dates from Todd, like, I don't care what's in there, I'm going. Like, that was, and I think that's like such an important thing, because I see the community online and how tight it is, but then like adding that, like, is that like kind of the goal?
Well, that was the whole point of it, right? I mean, when I took a look at just, if I'm going to do something where I'm going to put out a training online, I need to find a way or add something to it to get people face to face, because that's my jam anyway. Like, I mean, I'll do the online thing, but only if it's going to be a conduit where I can meet people face to face, because that's where I want to play. I don't want to have just these like surface, hands-off relationships via people through the interwebs or whatever. I like meeting people in a real setting. That's the one thing that it's a big part of the ethos and the kind of the mission and the values of the business is, here's the thing. In total, there are 1,926 people that get a free ticket to the live event, all right? And of that, I would love to see a larger percentage coming, just if we're being real. I'd like to see a way larger percentage of those people are coming. But, you play you kind of know the numbers games of, events, and I'm just looking at those people who aren't coming, and I'm like, what a huge mistake. What a huge mistake. That you're missing out on the relationship possibilities, diving deeper into really honing your skills on finishing things, not ideas. You don't need more ideas. You're going to get them. But that's why I'm bringing in the other experts, because they're going to give you great ideas, some great tweaks, some great strategies, some great tactics for stuff in a real intimate setting. But I'm going to go back on stage and then shepherd you back continuously through the night of the year, and then add on the additional frameworks and models and ways of thinking, so that you're not as overwhelmed by just all of the stuff that needs to happen as an entrepreneur. And you couple that with just the people that are going to be sitting around you going through the exact same thing as you, and then you couple that with just the opportunity and the luck that comes out of just, you don't know. I can't make any promise of who's going to be sitting next to you, but here's what I do know. It's going to be a good person, because I seem to attract that people, because my marketing isn't hypey. Yeah. It's not.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Who are, like, from your, just like, I guess a 10,000 foot view, who's in the 90-day year? Who are the people that'll be there? Like, what type of person, who is that?
So that's the interesting thing, is because I'm not a niche specific business, or it's not a niche specific product, right? You get people that are coming, there's pizza shop owners that show up,
so like entrepreneurs or business owners,
but entrepreneurs and business owners, right? That are all kind of raising their hands saying, hey, I need help with this thing called, completing stuff, making decisions faster, and growing a business that really does serve me, not me running on a treadmill serving it all of the time, right? All of that can only happen is if we improve our skills, because the way that we're looking at our business right now is the thing that's causing it. The moment we can look at the business or ourselves in a different way, then we'll start doing things in a different way. And that's the whole point of what really and that's not on the page. That's not on the sales page for what the 90 years about.
No.
You know, instead I'm telling people about, you know, growth, and this is the engine that makes it happen. But ultimately, it's about helping people see themselves in a different way because they're growing skills more quickly than other people. Again, don't forget, like, the 90 year came out of, like, straight out of the Peak Athlete and helping athletes get on podiums at Olympics. The only way that I can make that happen in a short amount of time is to improve their skills, but then also improve their mental and emotional skills at the same time, so that they see themselves standing on that podium. So we as entrepreneurs, we have our own podiums in our head as to like where we want to go stand, where we want to be, how we want to be known. That's out there, and this is what makes that happen.
What would you want somebody to walk away with from the end of the 2, or if they do the VIP side, 3 days, like, what would you want those feelings, or how would you want them describing it to someone, or how have people?
I like it when people can't describe it. That's even better, is when they go, you know what, I can't even tell you how much this means to me. But ultimately, like, they have far greater clarity around what they need to be doing. They've got a lot more confidence because they see other people who are really successful, because there's people there that have multi-million-dollar businesses and they deal with the same things. So that, you know, it's
multi-billion-dollar
business. Yeah. They're not, you know, special little snowflakes that only are dealing with this anxiety and this stress on their own. So there's comfort in that. Huge. And comfort isn't really a word that I would use that much, but there is. It's like, oh, you know, I'm not the only one. There's other people. So there's a shared experience that happens there.
Especially now, because of social media, everyone thinks everyone's life is perfect.
Yeah.
And they don't think anyone else deals with any of the same fears or, you know, problems, and everyone deals with the same exact things.
Yeah. There's nothing new under the sun on that stuff.
No.
But that confidence, and then ultimately just a completely reset Rolodex of people, right? Where, you know, something that happened at the last event was there was 10 women in particular who came together. They met at the event. A couple of them knew each other ahead of time, and they formed their own mastermind group. And they ping me, they send me screenshots of like what's happened in their group, you know, every couple of months or something like that. And all of that only happened because they were at the live event and they connected with each other, and they all went out for lunch one day when we were at the Venetian in Las Vegas. You know, this time we're in San Diego. But that doesn't happen as easily. So the relationships is, if there's one thing to stress, it's that one. That one thing is that part of it. So, and you get to have a photo with me.
Well, actually, that's a good point too, because the thing when we were talking about it that really struck me was how much has gone into this, but then also how much you actually, this is gonna sound weird, but how much you care about all the people there, and that so I think that it almost, like a normal, maybe somebody going through the course or watch this is like, he doesn't care if I come, or like, and that you don't, like, you're not doing this stuff, you did this to reach more people and change more lives. Like the courses, like, you know, because it's not your background, it's not, you go crazy and I'm like, oh, you're an online guy, and you're like, no, like, but
please don't say
like,
that.
That's like, I think something that is like, you take notice of the people who show up year after year. You take notice of the people who come up and ask a smart question, or you know, want to, you know, or helping other people.
Absolutely.
And there's no better way to do this than here.
We have an internal document of all of the students, and we have a rating system of, like, you know, contribution into the groups.
Wow.
And so when people reach out to me and ask me for things, we'll just go and reference that. You're like, okay, so how much have you contributed? I'm just like, how much has that person contributed to the group? Like, how much have they shown up? What do they do? Have they attended live events? You know, there's a post actually just today where someone came on to Facebook and said something to the effect of, oh my God, Todd Herman is writing the foreword to one of my clients' books. And people were posting it like, oh, that's great, and he's so nice, and things like that. But I replied back with, here's why. You know, she's a good human being to start with. She does work on something that I know a lot about, which is dyslexia. Third, it's a she. I want to help females a lot more. Guys we don't need any more help. It's just true. So if you're a guy, still come. And the fourth one, though, is has done nothing but contribute to the communities. So when she reached out, it was about the easiest yes I can give. So we pay attention, and everyone else should too. This is a lesson in any business. You pay attention to see, who's really adding value. Yeah. And I don't look at it like, oh geez, if I strike up a relationship with that person, then they're going to be a huge magnifier for my business because they've got a huge following. If there's one thing that people should learn from the way that we've done things inside of this is, I look at everyone the exact same way. And you and I know of a situation that just happened yesterday with someone who is willing to hand me $25,000 to come and speak on the stage, but they ain't getting a sniff of my community because of the way that they went around it and went about it. Because I look at, you got to be a shepherd to the flock, right?
Yeah, and it's a direct. And then actually, so this leads me to something else, because something else happened yesterday where somebody who doesn't know about the 90-day year, somebody that I met who's, as we know, probably one of the most connected people I ever met, and who has done that by becoming just a giver. And I told him, you should be there. This is going to be like, he doesn't know anything about you, about 90-day year, anything. He's going to be there, but just because he wants to be involved, after talking and providing value, and but it brings up a good point, because now after we had the conversation, why I wanted to do this video to begin with was this idea that it's not just for people in the course or going through the course right now in this class because you've done it multiple years. It's for anyone, because it's for somebody who wants that edge, who wants to be around good people, who wants to learn, the things that really, really work. That's what I told him. So is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. So we all know that at the end of the day that we're judged on our performance. Yeah. Back in the day, you could slough through it and be a quick talker, fast talker, all that stuff. You can't anymore, because just the power is in the hands of the people, power is in the hands of the consumer, so we all need to perform. So how well are we performing? And that's what the 90 years is. It's that performance model that's been out there working for 14, 15 years. So yes, while the people who have purchased the online program get to come, people who want to get the Cliff's Notes sort of real fast track version of what the 90-day year is can come to the 90-day year live event and get it. Plus they're getting it in an environment of being around a bunch of really good entrepreneurs, business owners who are committed to not only building a good business, but then also being committed to building it in a way that doesn't overwhelm them as well, and learn the art of simplicity and just taking action. So
all right, then you just brought me up when you said the Cliff Notes side. So let's get honest for a minute. So many people who buy or purchase an online course, the most action they're going to take on that was when they hit the buy button.
Sure.
So if somebody has let's say they haven't gone through the whole thing and they're thinking that you're going to be pissed off about that and that they shouldn't show up. Is that true?
Of course not. Okay. Of course not. No. Even though I can understand why people would think that way. Oh my God,
I would think that
Todd's gonna give me a whipping, because I get it. The point of the program is you can go through it at your own pace too, and that's why I give people an 80-20 overview of hey, if you're in this position, this is what you should be focusing on. But you come back to it again the next quarter, you add one more piece of it, and you're gonna, no one's perfect at it by any stretch of the imagination. So no, but this will help, solidify and give people a real concrete, oh, you're seeing it in a different way, right? So you're consuming the information through an online portal right now. Then you go into an environment that's different because it's live. Now the way that you accept the information, it's physical because you're there with people. You're gonna I might say the exact same thing in the exact same way that I said it before, but because it's in a different environment, you're gonna be receiving it in a completely different way. To answer your question, no, people aren't in trouble if they show up and they haven't. And I look.
You want them to.
Yeah, of course. I want them there. But it's not even for a selfish reason that I want them there. I want them there for themselves. 100%. So because there's a reason why the program won the Stevie Award for the world's best leadership and skill development program.
What's the Stevie Award? That's
the Stevies is an organization that gives out awards in a lot of different categories. And last year, the 90 year was submitted in leadership and skill development programs globally, and it won based on the data that we have from the ROI Institute, from the customers, and that stuff's not easy to do. And it only happens when you constantly focus on product. That's why I was giving you a rough time the other day when you introduced me to someone as, he's a really good online marketer, and I'm like, please don't ever say that again, because I'd much rather be known as someone who's a product focused person, because when you're product focused, it means you're customer focused. It doesn't sound as slick, right? Like, oh, he's a really product focused person. Yeah. But that's what I like. I like the unsexy stuff.
Yeah. No, I know, and that's why I wanted to ask you these questions, because even as somebody who knows you well and has seen like from the inside, like there's still, I had so many things that I was, I guess I'll say, wrong on, or misconceptions about, and and I think though getting back to like that person who hasn't jumped in all the way, let's just say that, or even started, and I guess the bigger side is from when you say not selfishly, I feel like it is selfish because but in a good way, because again, the goal for you, at least from what I've understood and gotten to know, is that you want to help as many people to get to that next level, get through wherever they're at, whatever's causing them discomfort, and like be at, their genius level, so to speak, the zone of genius. So like that person right now, you can't help them unless they
show up.
Some action.
You gotta
all they
show
have
up.
to do right now is show up.
You just gotta show up. But you brought up an interesting thing, because you talked about helping, and we were in a conversation the other day with one of our good friends, Jonathan Fields, and he was talking about the spectrum of helper maker, right? You've got people over here who are makers. They like to just create stuff. And then you got over here people who are like helpers. And it's funny because we have very different personalities, but we actually talk about a very similar thing. And he is a true maker, and I am a true helper. That's why, that's one of the points of the video, because we were chatting, and I was like, it's really frustrating to know that there's someone sitting there and has been sitting there with the decision facing them down, like, oh, should I go? And I don't know when I'm getting there. And it frustrates me that, frustrates me that maybe I didn't communicate it in a way that then, makes it seem like it's a no-brainer that I should go, or that they're sitting there because there has to be some sort of doubt with themselves, like, am I going to capitalize on this, or whatever the thing is. And I get it. Some people, it might be a financial situation. There's like, it just don't have the money to go. And I'm not going to ask someone to like put themselves like, but someone that I do know who is in a tough financial situation, like reached out and said, I can't not go because I just have this sense and this feeling that there's something there. I don't know what it is. There's something there. And that person is in this moment, they're living in a state of like, because finances can stress people out, right? But what's amazing about this person is they still have this kernel of optimism about their life, and they're still willing to bet on that. And that's what's unique about what an entrepreneur will do, is despite the fact that tornadoes and thunderstorms are swirling around them, they will still look at that one remaining petal on the flower and, feel optimistic about what might happen.
Those are people that make it.
Yeah.
Like from my experience, like
grit,
those
man.
people.
It's grit.
Grit.
Yeah.
Hustle and grit.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
When does it take place? Where?
April 17th, 18th, and 19th in San Diego, California, where there's beaches and surf, but you'll be inside until I let you go for the day, and then you can enjoy the sunshine. But, 17th, we have our networking party that night. I'm taking care of all the drinks and the food. No one else does that at these things. Typically, you got to pay to go, and that's just
a drink ticket.
Yeah, or a drink ticket. Yeah, so that's on the 17th, and again, that's to help facilitate the relationships, the opportunity, and all that. And then the 18th and 19th is just, me again, talking about the 90-day year, working people back through it again, talking about the other concepts that I've got waiting for people there, and then also introducing them to, those roundtable opportunities with experts.
And when you say talking about it, you mean breaking it down and getting deep. Like,
no, it's not.
You're talking.
It's not the Todd.
Different than the normal person.
It's not talking. It's not the Todd show.
Yeah.
We'll be working through things. Because I want people to leave with something that's done, that they can, go back into their lives, businesses, and you know, it's a plan for them that they've got.
They have like essentially their next 90 days mapped out.
Yeah.
Like how amazing would that feel? Like I think that's something for me when, you know, thinking about going, and it was terrible timing and all that, and like I'm like, regardless, like I want, if I'm able to leave knowing what I need to really do to get to that next level over 90 days, that's worth it alone.
Yeah.
Even, and then add on the relationships. Funny thing is, when you said about the networking side, that scares people. But the thing I've seen from within your community, and I'm guessing it's like this in person even more, is that they're good people. They're not like, you know, like you're dumb, like ask the question this way. Like they're gonna make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the message that you get across to people.
And not only that, the very first session on day one, I brought in like one of the like global experts on how to actually introduce yourself to people so that someone gets what you do, who you are, and I want that at the beginning of the event so that people can spend the rest of the, you know, time that they've got with people truly showing up and maximizing whatever opportunity that might be there. And, you know, is that free and is that cheap to bring in that person? No. Is that a promise of what I said the 90-year live event was ever going to be about? No. But it's going to help serve them to make them better. And that's right at the beginning of day one. And so, because I know and I get that, people go, yeah, I get that Todd says that relationships are a big part of events, but he's an extrovert. So of course he's going to leverage that stuff. And the reality is, you both know this, it's probably the introverts that know how to probably network better than the extroverts do anyway, because extroverts can be maybe a little bit too excited about themselves.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the introverts can at least listen
and ask good questions.
2 ears, 1 mouth.
So yeah, exactly. Listen twice as much as you speak. And but anyway, so I know that that's a struggle that people have. So why not just handle that from the get-go and help people out so that they're, you know, truly showing up and maximizing the opportunity that's sitting right there in front of them.
Yeah, so all right, let's break it down. So if somebody took the course a few years ago, should they be there?
Yeah. People who took the course the very first time are there this time. Who took it last year, they're here this time. People just keep on returning every single time.
Yeah. So somebody who's going through it or finishing it up right now, they should be there?
Yeah, absolutely. People who haven't taken it and are given the opportunity through someone who's in the program to buy another ticket for them to come should be there. Or people who don't know people who are in the program and they got an opportunity to buy a ticket to come and see what the 90-day year is all about and get around this community of people should be there. But I'm not going to sell everybody on it, because, you know, if you're looking at this and you're like, and you know that you're a, for lack of a better term, smarmy douchebag type entrepreneurs, I'll sniff you out pretty quick and we'll send you on your way. So yeah.
So if somebody's, let's say, on the fence, I hate that term, but if they're on the fence and they're a good fit, they're somebody they know, they're feeling it, they're like, I know I should be there, what would you say to them?
I mean, outside of just the standard, just do it and go, they're obviously looking for some other reason, whatever that might be. But, you know, at some point in time, there's a betting on ourselves factor. And, you know, when you take a look at those things that you think about and see yourself having or wanting or being, you know, 3 years from now or a year from now, or what you want your business and life to look like, you know, at one point in time, are you going to take that really seriously? Because if you don't, no one else will. We've got to take our stuff seriously because no one else is going to do it for us. Yeah. And the only way to make that happen is to sort of grab change by the throat, because that's what this is. It's the moment you commit to, man, I'm committing to change. You know, buying a ticket on the plane to get there, you know, finding my accommodation and all that, and that's all just uncertainty or change for some people. But someone's got to take it seriously, and it has to be us. We have to take our thing seriously. And you know, you've seen it firsthand, so of course you're gonna have a different perspective. of just how much effort and work we put in to this thing. And to not even sell it, like it's on the back end of a program, which we talked before, but like maybe being an error sometimes in the way that it's positioned as a bonus, but people are getting a ticket. But there's just nothing like the experience of being someplace live. That's why I don't live stream it. That's why there is no, video of us, doing it, because it mitigates all of the opportunity that happens from being somewhere, and it gives people the excuse to not show up. Yeah. So at the end of the day, that's also kind of one of the reasons why we put the live event together too, is so much of what the 980-year ethos is about, and me, is about, like, you got to show up, field of play, man. You got to get on the field of play. This isn't a sideline activity. So if someone is actually in the program, you actually already put your money down for it, and you're not going to capitalize on it. That's silly to me. Yeah. It's just silly. And so you don't get the spoils, you don't get all the wins without showing up on the field. And that's where I think some people, because they can hide and say, hey, I took the 90-day-year, but what were the actual results that you got? And they, I'm not looking for someone who says, yeah, I'm not looking for a customer who bought it. I want people who get results from it. So that person who's like, I'm on the fence, I'm terrible at selling people hard on this stuff, because only but I know what I'm going to give to people there.
Yeah, and I think, for me personally, it's one of those things where whenever I feel that way, what I realized, and this was the big mindset shift for me, was that it's so much harder for me not to do those things that I know I need to do than it is to just do them.
Yeah.
So whether that's something as simple as not exercising and lying on the couch and being like, oh, I deserve this, and being miserable because my mind's beating the hell out of me.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those same things. So it's like that person, because I've been that person many times, and I've done both sides. I've jumped on the field, and I've also said, oh, I've made up some excuse for not going.
Yeah.
And the times that I didn't, I always felt it, and I always paid for it in other ways.
Well, it's the classic, we're always going to be our own worst enemy, right? That's why when we talk about leadership or being, your business can only grow as much as you do, because you're the leader of it. If you're not growing, then the business somehow gets affected that way too. And getting out of our own way, our own excuses, and taking a smart action is, it's obvious, but it's not. The obvious is not so obvious for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, to kind of wrap it up, at least, if you're on the fence, make the decision. Just make a decision. Just make a decision, whether you come or you don't. And if you don't come, then you're definitely going to see your Facebook feed fill up with people doing selfies at the event, and the new friends that they made there, or the big insights that they had from coming. And if you do, you'll be the one doing it and telling the story.